सेव किया था ना?
मैं सिर्फ इसलिए गया था क्योंकि उसने मुझे कॉल किया, that's it. But listen तो.
Save it for someone else.
जिंदगी में सेव करना जरूरी है, मगर जब बात पैसों की हो, सिर्फ सेविंग से काम नहीं चलेगा। इक्विटी म्यूचुअल फंड्स में इन्वेस्ट कीजिए और अपने सेविंग्स को आगे बढ़ने का मौका दीजिए।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
Hello and welcome to ThePrint. You're watching Political Adda with me, Akshaya Nath, Senior Assistant Editor. And joining me today is DK Singh, Senior Political Analyst and the Political Editor with ThePrint. And also joining me is Nilakantan RS, who's author of South versus North, India's Great Divide. Thank you for joining us, DK Singh and Nilakantan. And on Political Adda, we generally discuss about the hottest topic of the current day on politics. And we're seeing that amid a lot of controversies regarding the new parliament building, while many of them have been accusing that the president has been sidelined and the prime minister has been given more importance. And similarly, about various other issues, we're seeing that 20 odd opposition parties have said that they'll boycott. That includes the Congress also. And at the same time, another important issue that's come up is the use of Sengol, the scepter, in the new parliament building. So I would first like to ask DK Singh, sir. Sir, what do you think is happening in this? Whom do you think we should be saying is doing politics with this issue? Is it the Congress, is it the BJP, or is it some other political party?
I would say, Akshaya, it's on both sides. Thing is, yes, politics will happen. You have it's election year. Election year now, election year, Karnataka elections are over. The next 6 months, you'll have elections in 5 more states, probably the semi-final, and then the final in April, May next year. When we'll have Lok Sabha elections. So, of course, any small thing, big thing, you will have politics with this. So far as this controversy over the Prime Minister inaugurating a parliament building is concerned, yes, the opposition may have a point that probably the president doing that would have been better. You know, if we go by the doctrine of separation of powers, actually you see the political executive doing this. Of course, they planned it, they have executed the entire project. But the prime minister inaugurating it, you would say, why not the president? Why not the speaker of the Lok Sabha? You know, those arguments are valid. But again, the opposition talking about it is something they themselves have to think about. Because you look at the history. In fact, way back in 1951, it was then Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru who laid the foundation stone of Karnataka Vidhan Sabha. Later, you have Indira Gandhi in 1975. The government is right there. In 1975, Indira Gandhi inaugurated the parliament's annex. Again in 1987, Rajiv Gandhi inaugurated the Parliament Library. Now again, Shashi Tharoor and others have been saying that, you know, some subsidiary building, ancillary structures being inaugurated is one thing, but then the new parliamentary building, inaugurating it is different. But then again, you can talk about library and annex, but then I'm saying the Vidhan Sabha building being, Karnataka Vidhan Sabha being, the foundation stone of that being laid by Jawaharlal Nehru. And there are many, many instances in different states. So to say that, it has never happened and BJP or the Prime Minister by doing it is sidelining the president, that's a bit too much. Yes, ideally, if the president had done it, fine. But if the Prime Minister is doing it, that's not something you should be. You have made your point. Now, you should not be boycotting the inauguration just on this plea or on this pretext. As I said, we should be expecting such issues to crop up, and we should be expecting the opposition to pounce on any given opportunity with whatever logic or reasoning they offer us. At this point, I would like to ask Mr. Nilakantan. This decision of the centre to revive the Chola era tradition of Sengol vesting. How significant is that? Will it resonate in Tamil Nadu? And politically speaking, the centre doing that, so the attempt is to send a message. There are two things here. One is, talking talking about transfer of power. Now, Amit Shah the other day telling that, when the Britishers handed over power to the Indians in 1947, Jawaharlal Nehru was given the Sengol. Now, that transfer of power, why we are talking about in 2023, in the context of, the inauguration of a new parliamentary building, that's a bit intriguing to me. Besides that, this revival of a Chola dynasty tradition, what do you think about this?
So firstly, I just want to make sure that we all understand the basic concept of what the Sengol is. And it isn't unique to Tamil culture, nor is it unique to the Chola Empire. The Cholas had it, the Pandyas had it, the Cheras had it. It is a Tamil tradition. Sengol loosely translates into what is just rule, right? The Egyptians civilization had some version of it. It is what is the equivalent of the divine right of the king, right? Like the Japanese emperor has that, for instance. The English monarchy has that. Every monarchy in the world has these symbolisms attached, because the monarch needs to convince the subjects that, I'm ordained by a power higher than you to rule over you, right? And that was the essence of, those ancient times. And the Sengol is, part of that in the Tamil tradition. It's sort of, holding that Sengol means that, you're a just ruler of sorts, and it is not, unique to the Cholas. It's all Tamil kings had that. But more importantly, we need to understand one more thing. This particular Sengol is not as if, from the times of, Rajaraja Chola, it's been like, the Sengol that Rajaraja Chola used has been like sort of passed down generations, and finally we have this in Narendra Modi's hands. It's not. It was something that was made in like the 1950s. It's a useless piece of jewelry. Like we need to put that in that context, right? So to imagine that, somehow the might of Rajaraja Chola in the glory of the Chola Empire is sort of now transcended in 2023 is just laughably absurd. And like that, anybody is making an issue out of it is, well, what it is. It's laughable. But more importantly, to the question that you asked, will this have any impact in Tamil Nadu? To be honest with you, like school children are taught what the Sengol is in, I think, standard 8, 9, whenever. And I don't think anybody remembers what the Sengol is after that. Right? Nobody in Tamil Nadu remembers what the Sengol is. And they all know what and the symbolism of it in parliament. I don't understand a modern democracy having what is what is essentially a paraphernalia of a king, right? Like we have a contract with our government, which is that the reason why we have an elected government is that they are our representatives. The reason why they exist is to transmit our will as people in government. They do not have the divine right of the king. So to have what is a specter, which is the equivalent of the divine right of the king to rule over subjects in what is a representative democracy, in what is a liberal democracy, is kind of absurd. But the symbolisms go as much. But reading anything more into it is sort of, I don't understand this. Like, for instance, would you imagine, like, I don't know, the Prime Minister of England, Britain being inaugurated with whatever what do they call it? The St. Edward's chair or something, that's, the chair in which the king is coronated, right? Or similarly, the Prime Minister of Japan having, there are a whole set of issues, sort of paraphernalia that the Japanese emperor has. You don't associate those with the Prime Minister of Japan, right? Similarly with many of the other European kingdoms. Like the idea of the elected government appropriating the symbolisms of what is the monarchy, the ancient monarchy, is seriously problematic in a liberal democracy. The purpose of a liberal democracy is to move away from that. That the BJP wants to do that and imagines that it will actually win them elections in some way, shape, or form is amusing, but so be it.
Nilakantan, we've also seen that, the BJP is called the Sengol, a symbol of monarchy. Though they've welcomed it and all and said that it's a proud moment for Tamil Nadu, they've said it's monarchy and not democracy. And meanwhile, the BJP is trying to glorify it. We have seen multiple press conferences, be it in Delhi or in Tamil Nadu, being held. The BJP chief in Tamil Nadu has also been praising it. Do you think that, this is kind of again, like going back to what DK said, is a way in which the BJP, a party which does not have any foothold or a very minimal foothold in the state of Tamil Nadu, trying hard to make it inroads because, we've seen the kind of failure that it had in Karnataka. So are they trying it more to, do something that can please the people of Tamil Nadu?
I don't. Okay, so this is interesting, right? Like the Prime Minister has been invoking the Chola Empire in multiple speeches over the last couple of years. I don't know who his speechwriter is. He seems to be sort of fetishizing the Cholas for some reason, right? This was true in, I think he made a speech a while ago when he was some international conference. He once made it in what was a defense expo somewhere near Chennai. He again made it in a political rally. There seems to be this recurring theme of the Chola Empire, and we have to remember this: the Cholas were the last Chola king was probably when it's been a long time since I studied history, but I think it was 1279, if I'm not wrong. And even in the last 150 years of the Chola Empire, they were no longer an empire. They were just what is the equivalent of a small what you call Citrarasar in Tamil, like a fiefdom, right? Like they had long fallen off the pedestal of them being an empire that spread across into what is today Indonesia and Malaysia, right? So and Narendra Modi seems to be sort of invoking this Chola Empire again and again. I don't know whom it convinces. No Tamil person looking at a speech by a certain prime minister who makes it in Hindi, sort of invoking the Chola Empire, is going to sort of pay attention to a speech in Hindi to sort of pick up like certain words in it about a Tamil Empire from 1,000 years ago and start voting for them. I don't think that's how voters work. And what the inherent logic of the BJP is in terms of bringing this up? Is it either the individual fetish of a speechwriter of the prime minister, or if it is like a larger agenda to sort of blend in what is because essentially we need to understand one thing here, right? Like the Cholas predate what is now Hinduism. Right, like they from the time of the Karigala Chola, they far predate Hinduism, right? And then we became Hindus even at the time in which they built the big temple. What is the Tanjore big temple? Like it was the concept of Hindu was alien to them. They would call themselves Saivite at that time, right? And even at that time, we need to understand this. In the 9th, 10th centuries, the principal administrator of both the temple and the kingdom itself, they had Muslims in there, and because of the pepper trade, that and we need to understand that fundamental distinction between Muslims in northern India versus Muslims in what is today Tamil Nadu, the old Tamil country of what is today Tamil Nadu and Kerala, right? Because these Muslims are from the pepper trade of that time. So the compact of the kingdom of Cholas or what was old Tamil country to sort of reduce that into some version of a Hindu kingdom, sort of firstly, it belittles their greatness. Secondly, it does not understand who they were. Thirdly, it doesn't matter in 2023.
In 1947, the evidence is to prove that this was a symbolic gesture of transfer of power from, say, the British to India, is still not so evident. Like that's what we've been seeing. A lot of critics have been talking about, saying that the evidence is to say this particular incident of handing over the Sengol was the evidence. So how do you react to something like that? Because Amit Shah has gone on to say that people have to understand and prioritize and look at the evidences that has been offered by the current government. So how do you respond to that?
I don't this is a piece of, like I said, it was made to order at the time of, in the late 40s and early 50s as a piece of symbolism, right? Like nobody imagines, if this particular specter did not exist, nobody imagines that the Brits would still be ruling us, right? Like I don't think anybody in this world thinks that. Right? It's just because, this is precisely like there's a proverb in Tamil that, if you, if you hide a jewelry, it's not as if, the wedding is not going to go on. The wedding will go on. Just because you hid a piece of jewelry, nothing changes, right? The specter is the same thing. To imagine that, it is, it is instrumental in our freedom, or that it gives the holder of the specter some kind of a moral justification of political authority, is laughable. But that's the nature of BJP's politics, right? And it has worked for them, good for them, right? Like making like a mountain of a molehill sort of plays into the kind of audience that they have, which kind of imagines greater and greater authority concentrated into the executive, and it sort of plays into their politics, good for them. But I don't think reasonable people in Tamil Nadu, or anybody for that matter in Tamil Nadu, actually looks at these things and sort of votes on that. At least I'd be very shocked if they did.
So, Nilakantan, one question from me. To this sector, we'll have Nandi at the top. Nandi, the divine Vahana of Lord Shiva. Now, the installation of that scepter in the lawmaking chamber, what do you think is its significance?
I mean, the Nandi is because it was, I think it was made by the Adinam, which is sort of in the erstwhile geography of what is the Tanjore district. And so I guess it's some version of, the Nandi that is in front of the big temple, if I'm not wrong. I haven't looked at the Nandi, but, like, sure, it is a Nandi, like every sort of, like, how do I say this? Art following religion sort of elevates art simply because we had associated erstwhile significance, and that's how art around the world works. That those things then taken on to become secular symbols is sort of world over. I don't think we should give any give it any more significance than it requires. And if people are sort of saying that, oh my God, the specter having a Nandi is the equivalent of like a Hindu rule, and on the other side saying that this is the greatness of the Hindu rule, the specter is a piece of jewelry. You should just move on.
How would the people in Tamil Nadu look at this? Would they be interested in saying, all these things are happening, some scepter from Chola era is being installed in parliament?
I'll tell you a joke.
Is it going to make the BJP more popular?
I'll tell you what. A long time ago, when I was a grad student, fresh off the board grad student, and I had gone to America, somebody else in my room asked, "What do these Americans think of Indians?" And somebody else replied, "They don't." And the same is the answer. What do the Tamils think of this? Whatever, they don't.
So it seems like, while we still think that this entire issue continues to keep becoming hot a topic closer to the date, that is still Sunday, we will be seeing that on Sunday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be inaugurating the new Parliament building, and the Sengol or the scepter will find its place in the new Parliament building next to the Speaker's seat, and many of them in the BJP have been calling it the rightful place. So we'll have to wait and watch if it will have any kind of a political, interpretations or repercussions in the state of Tamil Nadu and other states as well. But meanwhile, thank you, Nilakantan, for joining us. And DK, thanks a lot for talking to us and discussing about this important topic that has been brewing in the country right now. But we will be coming back with more interesting topics. Do tune into Political Ladder on The Print. I'm Akshaya Nath, Senior Assistant Editor for The Print.